It is morning in the ancient city of Baghdad. Above the city rises the dome of a mosque. From the mosque comes the Mohammedan call to prayer. At the sound of the call, Mohammedans kneel to pray. They are some of the millions of Mohammedans who live in many lands that form the Mohammedan world today. That world includes countries that stretch from Morocco to Pakistan and Indonesia. Centers of this Mohammedan world are a group of ancient and famous cities. Here we'll find Mohammedans in downtown Cairo, amidst the traffic of busy streets. In Old Jerusalem, on narrow historic byways. In Damascus, ancient capital of the Mohammedan world. And in Istanbul, on broad modern avenues. We'll find Mohammedans in Syria, riding along ancient trails. In Iraq, harvesting grain in the fields. And in North Africa, living on the desert. And all these people are of the same religious faith, a faith that goes back 1,300 years to desert dwellers in Arabia. The time is about 570 A.D. In the desert town of Mecca, Mohammed was born, and there he first preached. Tribes of desert nomads were among the first to accept Mohammed's teachings. Perhaps the simple life of the desert dwellers, with its code of honor and friendship, helped the new religion to spread. For the Mohammedan faith emphasized the spirit of kindness, equality, and brotherhood. But it was also a fighting faith. Soon after Mohammed's death, his followers conquered Arabia, and then with fiery zeal carried the faith into lands beyond Arabia, into Syria, into Palestine, Egypt, Persia, Spain, and a portion of India. By the year 750, a vast Mohammedan empire had been created, held together by a religious faith. Basis of the faith was the Quran, a collection of Mohammed's sayings and teachings. For more than 1,300 years, Mohammed's words have been taught from the Quran. There is only one God, Allah, and Mohammed is his prophet. The idea of only one God was similar to the earlier Hebrew and Christian concept of God. The new religion that Mohammed preached spread rapidly among the masses of the East. And wherever it spread, mosques were built as places of worship. This one in Jerusalem is said to mark the place from which Mohammed ascended to heaven. The sign of the crescent is the symbol of the Mohammedan faith, a faith which competed with the earlier faith of Christianity. The symbol of the cross and the symbol of the crescent collided wherever the two met, in Palestine, in Constantinople, and in Spain. In Spain, the Mohammedan occupation centered in such cities as Seville, Cordova, and Granada. These cities became centers of the Mohammedan or Moorish culture in Spain. Palaces, such as the Alhambra in Granada, are lasting examples of the Muslim way of life, a graceful, cultured way of living that influenced European civilization and eventually our own. After the conquest of Spain, Mohammedans and Christians clashed in Palestine, the Holy Land. From 1096 to 1291, military expeditions of Christians, the Crusades, went from Europe to the Holy Land. The ancient city of Jerusalem, sacred to both Christians and Mohammedans, was conquered and reconquered as the Moors fought to expel the invaders of a faith based on Mohammed's words. Fight for Allah's cause against those who fight you. And so war was made as Crusaders and Moors joined in the struggle for the Near East. Gradually, some armies have established themselves in the Holy Land. There they built great feudal castles. This one in Syria is one of the great landmarks of the Crusades in the Near East. Such strongholds were centers of European life in the Mohammedan Empire. The cities of Damascus, Mosul, and Baghdad were the cultural centers of that empire. Ancient Baghdad was the romantic city of the Arabian Nights, the city from which, according to the story, Sinbad the sailor set out on his voyage of adventure. The story of Sinbad was among the romantic stories that have come to us from Mohammedan literature. This literature was part of the Muslim culture, which the Crusaders carried to Europe when they returned home. We can still find Mohammedan influence in our language. Our word damask comes from Damascus, the city where this kind of cloth was made. Our word coffee is an Arabic word. Our name for this common spice. Our word muslin comes from Mosul, the city once famous for its fine cotton cloth. From Mosul, Damascus, and other cities came products for which the Muslim world was famous. Beautifully woven carpets were eagerly bought by the Western world. Famous, too, were Mohammedan weapons, such as the keen swords of Damascus steel. These products and others were carried by camels to lands reaching from Spain to India. On their travels, the Mohammedans also introduced many ideas of agriculture. They planted date palms in Mediterranean countries, and dates were among the fruits they introduced into Europe. Oranges and other citrus fruits were also introduced. Other contributions of Mohammedan farmers included methods of irrigation, many plant products and methods of farming, and improved strains of livestock. Probably the Arabian horse is the most famous livestock contribution of the Mohammedan world. A decorated saddle is an example of another kind of contribution, the art of tooling leather. Tooled leather and silver engraving are among the many decorative arts in which the Mohammedans excelled. They developed abstract designs in which the words of the Quran are often included. And the Qurans themselves are often examples of decorative art. In making their books, the Muslims used paper, a contribution which they brought from China and passed on to the Western world. From Hindu India, Arab scholars borrowed concepts of mathematics, including the idea of the zero. We call our numerals Arabic numerals, and our word algebra is an Arabic word. In chemistry, Arab scientists made many contributions and gave us such words as benzene, alcohol, and alkali. These contributions and many more are part of the culture of the Mohammedan world. In Constantinople, that world redevelopment. Today in Istanbul, as the city is now called, we can still see something of the splendor of the Mohammedan world. As in the past, the city is still the bridge between Europe and Asia, between the Western world and the Muslim world. Within the city is the palace, where the sultans ruled for 5 centuries. We can get some idea of the power and splendor of the sultan rulers when we see the mosques they built. Suleiman the Magnificent, who built this mosque, ruled in the 15th century when the glory of the Muslim world was at its height. Mosul is Santa Sofia, historic landmark of 2 cultures. It was later converted by the Muslims, has greatly influenced the world in which we live.